So I want to talk about something extremely important with regards to Facebook ads. And I would say it can make or break your Facebook ad campaign. So even though we've got snoring little Jake right here, definitely want to pay attention to this. This was something that I didn't quite understand for the longest time. So essentially, when you're running Facebook ads and things ebb and flow throughout the year in any account, but sometimes when you see declining ROAS, especially like sharp declines in ROAS, and you're kind of stumped as to why that's going on, well, sometimes what happens is that on the website conversion rate has actually tanked. Let's say it's gone below 1%. And that is why the ROAS is so low and it's all of a sudden gone downhill. So when you have, let's give you an example. For example, when you're out of stock on several items, so it says sold out specifically on your products on your Shopify store, well, that means people can't buy those products. So obviously your website conversion rate is going to tank. People are not buying. So if you're sending Facebook ads to a website that has even just one item that's out of stock, but if you have several items that are out of stock, then your ROAS is going to tank. So that's just one piece of what I like to call the website foundation. If your website foundation is broken and your numbers are not optimized, then it's going to be extremely challenging for you to run a profitable Facebook advertising campaign. Most of the time, this is more applicable to newer businesses that don't quite have their site metrics, dialed in place. But this can happen to established businesses. In the example that I just listed, where items are out of stock, your website conversion rate declines pretty quickly, then that's extremely important to pay attention to. But again, this is mostly applicable to newer Shopify stores or e-commerce stores that haven't quite really gotten enough traction. Maybe they're getting sales, but they're not getting the right numbers quite yet. Now, one of the first things that we look at when we're auditing a Facebook ad account is, we're looking at the ROAS, we're looking at the cost per acquisition, but we're also looking at what's going on site side. So we specifically ask for what the website conversion rate is, the average order value, and the lifetime value of customer. Because if those three numbers are not at specific levels, then it's going to be very, very hard for us to run Facebook ads to that store and actually make the ads profitable. It's an uphill battle for us. And probably one of the most important things that you will learn about Facebook ads is that, and I'm going to repeat this a few times, is that Facebook ads won't fix your business. Facebook ads simply are meant to complement and enhance and allow you to scale. But you can only run profitable Facebook ads when you have that website foundation all dialed in and you've got your numbers and metrics at ideal levels. They don't need to be perfect, but they need to be above a certain threshold. So the most important ones I listed, specifically website conversion rate, average order value, and lifetime value of a customer. So for website conversion rate, we typically want to see that to be above 1%, but really above 2% is best. And I also want to point out that this isn't a hard rule for every single business. Some things have to fluctuate a little bit, but typically speaking, 1% or 2% for your website conversion rate would be best. For average order value, we usually want to see above $50. Again, that's not a hard rule. And when you're dealing with different price points, it does shift a little bit. But $50 for average order value typically is a good sign. Then for lifetime value of customer, so essentially, when someone becomes a customer and you calculate, the average amount of revenue that you would get from your average customer. That's what the lifetime value of customer is. We want to see that above $100 typically. So those three metrics are most important. You may be already running Facebook ads for your business, and if you're not getting ideal results yet and you don't have those website metrics dialed in yet, then you need to work on that first. I would definitely suggest putting more money into optimizing your website and those three numbers specifically before you spend a boatload on Facebook ads. Now, I understand that when you're improving those numbers on your website, you do need to spend a little bit of money ad side, to get some website traffic, to get some sales, so that you can use that data to improve those metrics on your site. But you don't need to spend a ton of money. And I definitely wouldn't recommend working with a Facebook ad agency until you reach those certain thresholds for your website foundation. We definitely get tons of requests from businesses that are under those thresholds, and we have to turn them away just until they get those metrics up to those ideal levels. And we have DIY Facebook ad guides that can kind of help you figure out how to do that, at least in the beginning, and run the ads on your own. And then, you're working with a website conversion rate optimization expert at the same time. And then once you get those website metrics up, then you can start talking with Facebook ad agencies about having them run the ads for you. Because otherwise, it's a big gamble on the agency, actually huge gamble on the agency. That's why we don't work with businesses that don't have those metrics dialed in yet. It just doesn't make sense. You'd be throwing away a lot of money. And we don't want that. We want you to succeed. So, and that this is such an important thing that I'm going to say again and again and again, because most businesses don't get this. And I definitely didn't get it for the longest time. A lot of people and businesses will wrongly assume that low ROAS is due to whoever is managing the ads. And more often than not, it's actually because of the site metrics. So when we do get requests for ad account audits, like I said, we check out those website metrics first. That's one of the first things that we do, because I don't know, maybe 9 times out of 10, the poor ROAS is due to the website metrics not being dialed in yet. So we do have a free scaling guide that kind of goes into a little bit more detail as to what we look for in terms of the site foundation and how important those numbers are, where your levels should be at. So if you are interested in checking out that guide, again, it's free. Go to tinteldigitalmarketing.com.